let's start with the trailer roundup. Tokyo Game Show was this past week. A lot of great takeaways from there, but I think we want to talk about the big daddy. The big boss. We got a new trailer for the Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater game. You know, I think it's just a matter of, at least for me, I can only speak for me, all I want at this point is a release date. I watched this trailer and I was really, like, it looked great. I loved what I saw, but it's like, I just want a release date at the end, and they still didn't give me that, but it still says 2024, but I'm just kind of growing like that's not going to be a thing. But anyways, that aside, we got to see some things we haven't seen yet in these trailers. You know, we saw the opening mission where Snake is trying to rescue Sokolov, and which is cool. I mean, he looks great. Snake looks more and more like an HD version to me of what that original model is, and it was cool to see him. It was cool to see the villains. It was cool to see Revolver Ocelot at his young age in these graphics. I don't know, man. It's kind of crazy. Like, this is the kind of thing that when you have nostalgia for a game, this is what it looks like in your mind, but then you go back and play it and it doesn't look that great no more. This is legit what it's gonna look like, and it's very exciting to actually go down this journey here. So yeah, regardless, I enjoyed it. I love what I'm seeing. I can't wait to play this game again in these graphics with the new gameplay and all that. So yeah, Chris, what are your thoughts on the trailer?
I think exactly what you said, Ryan. I think when you're looking at something like this, you're either going to come from two camps. Camp number one is this appears to be a one-to-one copy sort of the first game. So shot for shot is very similar to the original game. So anybody that wants and was hoping that this would be sort of a tight study of Hideo Kojima's vision as to what the game should look like, what the game should play like. Well, play like we don't know so much just yet, but in terms of looking like, this is close to, as you can see, Kojima's students, so to speak, coming up with something like this. It's a one-to-one shot. So those, if you're part of that camp, you'll be very happy. If you're of the second camp, where you were hoping that they would take more liberties with the designs and sort of update things and take a different twist on it, you might be a little bit disappointed. I think this appears to be, so far, that it's going to be a one-to-one remake of this game. But from what I saw, it looked really cool. Darren, what is your history with these Metal Gear games, and did you get excited when you see Hader's voice on this trailer for the first time?
Oh, it's good to have him back, let's be honest, right? He's the OG. And right. Yeah, absolutely. So from day one, I was playing Metal Gear. Back in the day when I had the chip PlayStation, my buddy of mine got me the game, and I was like, "What?" Yeah, you know it. And I was like, "What the fuck is this?" Right? Chip. Metal Gear Solid. This sounds weird, but as soon as you start playing, it's like, hang on a fucking second, we got something here, right? Yeah. And it's just lived up to the hype ever since, right? And Snake Eater was no different, the OG edition, but upon this review, like, how good do the characters look, man? Honestly, how good does everybody look? How good does Snake look, right? And as you say, Ocelot at a young age and everything else. This to me looks insane, and it's just, yeah, give us the release date, as you both been saying. We just want that fucking release date now. Graphics look sharp. Gameplay's probably gonna be sharper too. I don't know. This game looks fantastic, and I'm in. This is a first day purchase, 100%.
Wow, first day that is 3 first day purchases.
That's first day purchase, man.
I think Ryan's picking it up the first day as well, so that's unanimous, dude.
Unanimous. Only if it's PS4, right? For me. Otherwise, I'm legitimately screwed.
It won't be,
Ryan,
I don't think it'll be.
Ryan, you're a big David Hayter fan, so you must have just popped when you heard his voice on here, right?
Oh yeah, 100%. 100%. His voice is a lot of the reason why this universe works so well. Like, there's I don't know how to explain it. A lot of his voice does the heavy lifting when it comes to this fantasy world, because even though it looks like it's a realistic thing and it is based on realistic events somewhat, it's still, you still got a guy that like can shoot out electricity out of his body. Like, it's not, right. There's still like this fantastical aspect to it, and his voice kind of lends credence to like setting you in this world because he is so animated in the way he talks. My big problem with Metal Gear 5 was when Kiefer Sutherland talks, I feel like I'm watching a real movie. Like, I feel like I'm watching a real Metal Gear play out. It was still a good game, and I still loved it, but it was like, there's such a disconnect here from what was originally going on. And maybe Kojima just wanted that to be that at that time, because the graphics were so cutting edge and it just looked so realistic that maybe Hader's voice wouldn't fit that realistic tone. I don't know. But now we have this, and it looks like Metal Gear 5, maybe better. And we'll see how his voice fares in a more realistic graphical setting. So, yeah, I'm really excited to get back into this. Chris, you said something that was interesting to me. This is a 1-to-1 remake, right? As far as we know, they're not going to Final Fantasy VII remake this thing and change the ending. This is like a total recreation of that game. Does it bother you when you hear that along with the 1-to-1 recreation, there's also the 1-to-1 annoyances? Like when you go to another screen, there is a loading screen. It's not seamless. Things like that. Does that bother you?
You know, it's funny. Growing up with loading screens most of my life, I'm okay with the loading screen. I think, when you play a game like, for example, Grand Theft Auto 5 on the PlayStation 3, and there was that original loading screen at the beginning where the whole game's loading for what feels like an hour. I'm not sure what the actual time is on it. And growing up with loading screens throughout, you kind of just become accustomed to it. Obviously, loading screens, a lot of the game developers have become a lot more imaginative in how those loading screens are done, right? Little subtle ways of maybe a character running, and it looks like the character's running, but really it's a loading screen. You just don't know any better, right? I don't know. I'm not too upset about that stuff, but what are the forums saying about that?
That's like the biggest contention with this game is, yeah, it should be a 1-to-1 remake, but they should also fix its issues, right? I get that, and I think they do fix some of its issues, but maybe that's just the way it has to be. Maybe there has to be a loading screen. Maybe it can't be as seamless as people want it to be, because that game was a sectional game. Like, you went into one area, you did something, the minute the screen moved, everything was different. So yeah. Maybe they couldn't figure that out. I don't know. I've also heard a developer come out and say that, they really were just trying to keep it 100% faithful to Kojima's original vision. So it's like, okay. But I also think maybe Kojima, if he could, he would make it seamless. There's also that aspect to it. So I don't know. It's I'm kind of like in your camp where it's like, yeah, I don't think loading screens bother me. Like, I love Nintendo games, and they're the worst performing games when you think about it. And there's loading screens up the ass. They don't bother me. So I find it interesting that right now, besides like the fact that Konami is the one putting this out, and people still don't have total faith in them. The next thing I hear is, I hate the fact that there's still loading screens. This should just be an open world kind of thing. I don't know. I don't think it can be.
Yeah, I mean, there's two schools of thoughts when it comes to stuff like that. I mean, you look at a game like Grand Theft Auto's, you look at a game like Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, right? It's a 2-discer, and the first disc you install the base game onto your system. The second disc is the disc that you play off of, right? Part of the reason why that game doesn't really have any loading screens is because a lot of the world has already been pre-downloaded onto your system, so it's playing off of that. So it's a catch-22. Do you or do you not want this to be a 50 gigabyte download? Do you not want to have those loading screens? And I think for some people would rather have a 10 gigabyte game and have the loading screens, while other people wouldn't mind having a 100 gigabyte game, but there are no loading screens, right? So I think no matter what, even if there are loading screens, it's not going to be anything egregious, like you're sitting there for even a minute. I think would be too long of a time to wait with the power of these consoles. So it remains to be seen, but a 30-second loading screen, it's not that bad, guys. I have the Netflix, the cheapy $5.99 version. There's a 30 to 60-second commercial once every 35 minutes. I promise you, it's going to be okay.
Hell yeah, I got the same one. Darren, do loading screens bother you?
I mean, can get annoying, but, whatever. It's like, I mean, time is precious, but no, not as much. But like,
Yeah.
let's say reading the forums, if anything, I think most of the people are just a little bit pissed that, it looks, say, pretty much the same as the other one or whatever, the old one, but, and, the rendering of the graphics and everything else, but fuck, let these guys cook, is all I'm saying. Let's see what it's like. Let it come out. Let these guys fucking cook, right?
Yeah.
They're keeping it like, they're keeping it real. They're keeping it to Metal Gear standards, right?
Yeah.
And, like, I wouldn't want it to change, like, outside of that scope. Fuck. To me, this looks insane.
Yeah.
I'm all about it. I'm all about it. That's, again, I think these guys are gonna kill it with this one. I'm in.
Definitely. Well, let's hope for a release date soon. I really that's all I need. I need to know when I'm gonna play this because I have a kid and I gotta plan these things out and it's not just those 6-hour benders at night. All right.